Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here, AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Zen.
Hey guys, I didn't have quite the adventure that you did in Vegas, John, but I saw Draft Day, watched the Manny Pacquiao fight.
Yeah, that was good. I saw that in Vegas too.
Game of Thrones last night.
I did not see that yet.
Also at the table, writer-director John Schnepp.
I also did not go to Vegas, but I did go to Barcade 82 in downtown LA. You got to check it out. It's a arcade 80s pinball bar that you can play video games. It's amazing. And watch Game of Thrones. No spoilers.
Hey, listen, guys, before we get rolling on here, something I wanted to bring up and mention here, but before we get rolling. You know, a few weeks ago, a lot of you guys noticed that maybe a month and a half ago, that Chris Lee Kennedy was not around a lot, and that was because, you know, her dad is for those of you who follow her on social media, know her dad was going through a lot of health stuff, and eventually he passed away, and that's why we didn't have Chris Lee here for a while. And you know, just a lot of the unfortunate stuff continues. A lot of you guys have emailed me for the last little while wondering why Amy Rose, who's essentially my right hand, she's the senior editor of movie news here at AMC Movie Talk, why she's really not been here much. And this is all you can find on our social media streams as well. Amy Rose's mom had been suffering from illness for a really long time. She's been staying home with her, and Amy Rose lost her mom on, I believe it was Friday or late last week. Amy Rose lost her mom, and we just wanted to say that collectively from all of us here at AMC Movie News, and I know I speak on behalf of a lot of you guys too who watch AMC Movie Talk, Amy Rose is just a treasured member of our team around here. We love her dearly, and all of our heartfelt condolences, thoughts, and prayers go out to her and her family in this really, really tough time. And thank you, all you guys who already knew about it and have been writing support messages to Amy Rose. I know she appreciates it, and we as a whole appreciate it too, so thank you very much.
Legendary and Universal Pictures are moving ahead with a film version of the 70s television series Kung Fu. Now, The Hollywood Reporter is claiming that Baz Luhrmann, director of such films as Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, and The Great Gatsby, is in talks to direct. John, what would you think of a Kung Fu movie directed by Baz Luhrmann?
Well, okay, there's two different parts to this. One is the Baz Luhrmann part. I am a big fan of Baz Luhrmann. Now, I'm not a big fan of The Great Gatsby. I was disappointed by the film. It was in my top 10 most anticipated films for last year, and I was let down by it, particularly because I really do like Romeo and Juliet. I didn't love it, but I really liked it. But I love Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is one of my all-time favorite films. I just love that film. So him coming in and doing something like this, I think is really interesting, because it's very much a departure from what we normally think of Baz Luhrmann, so be very different, whatever. How I feel about a Kung Fu remake in general, though, is still very iffy. And I think my feelings on this will change a lot, one way or the other, depending on what direction they decide to go, and really, let's be honest, who they're going to cast in the lead. Because if they get a David Carradine again, I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to be really, really upset if they do that again. Not that there aren't classic things about that original series. I'm not saying that, but come on. In today's day and age, it just would be rather ludicrous and ridiculous. Maybe they can get Johnny Depp to play him. I don't know. That seemed to make sense. So I really, in general, excited because it's Baz Luhrmann. But overall, for the project as a whole, I got to just wait until I see who they're casting for this. Anyway, Dennis, what do you think?
I found it very surprising because Kung Fu is something that I know about, you know about, older people know about. It's not really well known amongst people today, and it's not something that has like a huge cult following that like making a movie version would attract a big audience. I mean, I am interested in Baz Luhrmann and the stuff he did. I also, not that I didn't like Great Gatsby, I just thought it was okay. I did like Moulin Rouge. Romeo and Juliet wasn't for me. But I really do hope they cast the Asian actor in this role. I mean, back then, you know, Bruce Lee was supposed to do it.
Yes.
And also Bruce Lee supposedly helped create
the
it was
his concept. If I'm not mistaken, it was his concept.
Exactly. And it was his concept, but yet they wouldn't cast him. Okay, well, things are different today. So you can cast an Asian actor in there, whether it's an Asian American actor or maybe an Asian star from overseas. I'd like to see like a Steve Yeun from Walking Dead or Daniel Day Kim from Lost, like one of those guys. But it just yeah, we don't need another David Carradine situation.
I'd say get one of the 2 leads from the Raid 2. I mean, just to me, I watched Kung Fu when I was a little kid, and if I do this, everyone knows what I'm talking about if you've seen Kung Fu. If you haven't, check it out. You'll know what I'm talking about. But to me, I think Baz Luhrmann made me laugh. When I read that, I was like, this is insane. Baz Luhrmann from Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet, from the mega hit Australia, which none of you have seen, directing Kung Fu, I think it's ludicrous to me.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a bad way.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I think unless he's doing Kung Fu the musical, you know, maybe they just like playing that down. It's a total musical. We're not going to play that part up though. I don't know. Just see. I mean, look, he's not a bad director. Like I said, I liked Moulin Rouge as well, and I liked Romeo and Juliet. But his later films, not so much. And it just seems a really weird fit, unless it's I'm into it if it's Kung Fu the musical. Let's leave it at that.
I think, but then again, I mean, granted, we're used to seeing Baz Luhrmann do one thing, but good storytellers are good storytellers. I mean, who would have thought the Russo brothers? Who would have thought the Russo brothers would give us Captain America
Not
too,
at
right?
all.
So you know who I'd love to see cast something like this? Donnie Yen. From Hero and a lot of those Asian films that have been transported over to North American
he's like
audience.
in his late 40s, so he could still pull it off.
I believe he can. I really do. All right, what's next?
A brand new clip from the opening battle of the upcoming X-Men Days of Future Past has just hit the web. The clip is a 1-minute segment of a battle between some familiar mutants against mutant hunting sentinels in the not-too-distant future. X-Men Days of Future Past opens in AMC theaters everywhere on May 23rd. Schnepp, what did you think of this clip?
I liked the clip. I thought it was action-packed and fun. It does make me a little bit worried, like all these characters. Is Bishop really only going to have one line in this movie? Those are my fears. My fears are like, oh, here's all those characters that we promised you in those photos that you've seen for over a year now. All of them are in this, like, this is a 1-minute clip from a 3-minute opening sequence, and then none of those characters are going to be in it again. That's my only worry. Did that 1 minute have the action and was it really well shot? Yeah, it was great. I would like to see like 10 minutes of that, you know? I'm hoping that they let those characters have a little bit more life. But yeah, as far as that 1 minute, I can't wait to see the movie. It's just my fears of all these too many characters crammed in. You're just gonna get 1 second of Iceman and 1 second of Sunspot. Hopefully that's not the case.
Dennis?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I liked seeing everyone use their powers and using them together in conjunction as a team to fight the Sentinels. It's hard to say that because it is the opening sequence, so it's hard to say in context how this, will play out. My only complaint, though, is the Sentinel that they're fighting. They're more like creatures than robots. I want to see the robotic Sentinels fight them instead of these. Kind of have more of a almost supernatural feel to them.
Right.
I gotta let you know, I don't know what you guys are smoking. This is awesome. This clip is awesome. This clip couldn't possibly be any better. Seriously, now granted, like Dennis was saying, context, right? You take certain 1 minute clips from The Phantom Menace, and that movie may look awesome. You take a 1 minute clip from the Darth Maul fight, you're gonna think that movie's awesome, and we know that it's not, right? So that's fine. But if we're just gonna talk about this clip, I was freaking out. Absolutely freaking out, like seeing Blink doing her thing, seeing Bishop doing his power absorption, watching, Bobby Iceman doing his Iceman thing, sliding around, stuff like that. It was perfect. And I actually really like the look of the futuristic looking Sentinels because we know they're going to look a little bit different in modern day. Right. Stuff like that. I'm telling you, this movie may suck. It may totally be a disaster that some more people are worried about. It may well be. You can't, like I said, all you can tell by a trailer is if the trailer's good. Right. Because, and all you can tell by a clip is if the clip is good. But for me, this clip was freaking awesome. Yeah. I absolutely loved it.
I'm not arguing about the clip. I watched it 3 times. Very exciting, great action. All the characters get their moment. I just don't want that to be it. That's
no, I agree. Yeah, you're right. All right, folks, listen, we've reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ash, she's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. And then Schnepp, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Gerard Butler is set to headline the upcoming sci-fi thriller Geostorm. The story sees Butler playing a stubborn but charming satellite designer who, when the world's climate-controlling satellites malfunction, has to work with his estranged brother to save the world from a man-made storm of epic proportions. A story into space follows, while on Earth a plot to assassinate the president begins to unfold. Dennis, buy or sell the sounds of Geostorm?
I'm gonna have to sell it. Yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't sound that interesting. It sounds like Gerard Butler's last movie, Olympus Has Fallen, meets Lockout, that Guy Pearce movie.
Yes.
It kind of sounds like that. You know, Dean Devlin is I guess his directorial debut. He's a co-writer for Independence Day and Godzilla. And, you know, people didn't go to see those movies for the writing.
Yeah. And he's coming out from the tutelage of Roland Emmerich, so you get an idea what kind of visuals we're going to get.
Exactly, and I think Geostorm, it's the name of a car, isn't it?
I think you're right, actually. Snap.
This is the unofficial sequel to Moon 44, which is Dean Devlin's first acting debut, and where he met Roland Emmerich. I'm going to sell this. I agree. It sounds really corny, and especially like he's this charming, you know, satellite guy, and then all this stuff like, oh, it makes a little sense. Some chaotic satellite storm in outer space. Henceforth, gravity on a super low budget. But then they chuck in, and someone's trying to assassinate the president. Like, what? Why did you try to wedge that part of the plot into this already kind of corny, you know, gravity spin-off, like rip-off type thing? The assassination of the president was where I was like, sold, sold, sold.
I am going to buy this, but I was buying it a lot more enthusiastically before I got to that sentence. Oh, and by the way, someone's trying to kill the president.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what?
If they cram 3 more weird subplots, I'll buy it.
Maybe it is a sequel to Olympus Has Fallen, except now he's a silent. You know, I actually liked it, and I did like the fact that, because I'm reading the description, and it says, and, you know, strained relationship with his estranged, I thought they're going to do the old with his estranged ex-wife thing. Oh, with the brother, okay, that's a little bit different. The whole idea about some global superstorm because of man-made satellites, so I'm into that. That whole presidential thing, really lame, but it wasn't enough to completely throw me off track, so I'm going to stick with the buy.
But I was going to say also, like, once they were like, with his estranged brother, then cut away to like the ending where one of them must sacrifice himself. I just instantly saw the cheese. Full cheese slice, eating president a pie of cheese. I'm dead. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Director James Cameron recently did a Reddit AMA and revealed a few details about his upcoming Avatar sequels. Cameron debunked the rumors that Arnold Schwarzenegger would appear in them and said the following: the second, third, and fourth films all go into production simultaneously. They're essentially all in pre-production now because we are designing creatures, settings, and characters that span all 3 films. And we should be finished with all 3 scripts within the next, I would say, 6 weeks. The biggest pressure I feel right now is cutting out things. I love to get the film down to a length that is affordable. John, buy or sell Cameron's comments?
I buy them. You know, Cameron, while I may strongly disagree with his whole all movies should be made in 3D nonsense, James. Aside from that, he is one of the most forward-thinking, visionary guys. Like him and George Lucas, not just as far as their filmmaking goes, but as the industry as a whole. These are 2 of the most forward-thinking guys we've ever had in the business. And this whole notion, you know, Schnepp, you and I talk about this a lot, about how, you know, if you know you're going to make a 3-part series, if you know you're going to do 2 films, whatever, don't shoot one, wait for 2 years, shoot another. Shoot them all at the same time. And I love that Cameron is doing 3 Avatar films, all shooting at once. I mean, they're going to save loads of money doing it that way. They're going to have a much better feel of continuity because it's all happening at once, not doing it, going off to some other movie, coming back a few years later. I think this is really great stuff. It's unfortunate about the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing because I think a lot of us have been wanting to see James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger back together again. I actually do think True Lies might be my favorite all-time action film. It's definitely in my top 2. So I'd love to see these guys work together again, but he's right. Arnold in Avatar is not really a fit, so that's cool. But his whole idea of shooting all these at once, getting them done all together, great thinking. Dennis?
I buy his statements. Besides being one of my favorite action directors, he's a fascinating person. Like I'm just fascinated by him. If you ever read his, I think you read his biography, The Futurist.
Yeah, written by a friend of ours, actually.
Yes, and in it, you just read all these stories about how passionate he is. I mean, obviously he's also stubborn and he's hard-headed, but he's also, like you said, forward-thinking, a futurist, like the title says. And I think whenever he speaks about something, even if I don't agree with it, I'm always interested in what he's saying.
Yeah. Shep?
Yeah, I 100% buy what his statements. Definitely check out the Reddit AMA because he goes through a whole bunch of different things. Like talks about Alien 5, how him and Ridley Scott met up and they were kind of going to do it, but this, it's a really informative, and he's really just thorough with his answers. And he's one of our top filmmakers of now. Any film he comes out with, generations now. It's like he's just on the top of his game. He's incredibly smart. Culturally, he's also thinking about our planet and like ways to like try to get everyone aware of climate change and what we're doing to the ocean. So I'm really looking forward to what his storyline with Avatar and his direct metaphors for us in our life now. I mean, I think he's a great guy. So fully buy it.
I've been thinking about this for a while. Maybe you guys can chime in and just drop us a note or leave in the comment section. I think it might be really fun for the whole AMC Movie News crew, for all of us, just to get together at my place maybe one night and say from 8 to 9 o'clock on this night, we're going to do an AMA over Twitter.
Sure.
We're all going to be sitting around a table together, eating and drinking, and you can send us anything you want for like 2 hours. We'll just do like that could be fun.
Let's do it.
That's what you think. Anyway, what's next?
As you know, several rumors have been circulating that actor Benedict Cumberbatch would be appearing in the upcoming Star Wars Episode 7. However, during a panel at the recent Oz Comic-Con, Cumberbatch said the following: "I would have liked a part in JJ's new Star Wars, but it won't happen, sadly." Jeanette, buy or sell Cumberbatch's denial of the Star Wars rumors?
I don't know if it's Cumberbatch or Cumberbatch. I say Cumberbatch, you say tomato, I say tomato. But I don't buy it. I mean, I buy that he's saying that, but I'm selling what he's saying. I think...
You think he's in Star Wars?
I think he's in Star Wars. They're going to be like mystery box, whatever. Him and JJ are like, we'll do this, They've already done a couple of these, like, for us. And even if he's not in it, I'm going to still think he's going to show up as some weird Sith. That's what I'm saying.
All right, I'm going to sell this, but for different reasons than you. I do believe him when he says he's not in it. I do. But it leaves me disappointed because I thought he would have been a great... Honestly, had they came out and officially announced Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in the new Star Wars, I would have totally believed, completely unfoundedly, granted, I would have totally believed he was Grand Admiral Thrawn. Look at that face.
Right.
That's Grand Admiral Thrawn. Just put the blue eyes or the red eyes in, whatever. That's Grand Admiral Thrawn. Some blue skin, whatever. And I would have been really excited. So hearing he's not there, it leaves me disappointed because it probably means we're not getting Grand Admiral Thrawn. So for that reason, I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to sell it because I think his denial, he's lying about it. I think he's going to be in it.
You think this is Khan all
yes,
over?
Exactly.
Totally.
Because
Khan!
Because J.J. Abrams, he's so secretive about that stuff. And I'm sure when, they were doing the press for Star Trek Into Darkness, and I'm sure everyone asked him, are you Khan? Are you Khan? He kept saying, no, 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 no. So this is just another example. I think he's going to be in it. And also, he lives in London, and they're shooting in England, so that's... I think he can get away with it.
The Queen lives in London, too. I don't know.
I think the Queen's in Star Wars Episode 7.
Anyone that's in England is in the movie.
They're in the movie as extras.
All right, folks, listen, before we get to mailbag, I want to let you guys know today is it. We are about to announce the winner of, as I pull up my results here on my computer, the winner of our March Movie Madness tournament. The results are in, and here are the results right now. As you know, it came down to 2 finalists. We had The Dark Knight winning the Nolan bracket. We had The Avengers winning the Whedon bracket. The winner and grand champion by a mile is The Dark Knight, winning 17,042 votes against The Avengers with 5,990 votes. That is our ultimate finale. The grand champion of our superhero comic book movie tournament, March Movie Madness tournament, is The Dark Knight. And I gotta tell you, when we started this whole thing, I mean, while my vote went to Avengers, when we started this whole tournament, we had 32 movies in there. We've gone down round by round by round, coming down to these final 2. We all knew it was going to be these final 2. But there were some very interesting matchups along the way. I predicted that Dark Knight would win. However, as we went through in all of the 5 rounds, the Avengers won its heads-up matchups by a bigger margin than the Dark Knight in every single round. And so although I picked Dark Knight to win, I'm like, I have a feeling, last week I said, you know what, I got a feeling off camera, I said this, I have a feeling Avengers is going to win this. I think Avengers is going to win. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. And you know, especially since if anybody, most people would make, if there was a third movie to be in the discussion out of these 32, I think a lot of people maybe would have said Iron Man, the original Iron Man. And the Avengers went heads up with the original Iron Man in the semifinal round and just trashed it. So, hey, I mean, maybe this could be it, blah, blah, blah. Nope, Dark Knight by a
Why so serious, Avengers?
What do you think of the results?
I'm happy with it. You know, it's like I was saying, Avengers to me is a more fun film. It's had all these different characters all combined to fight each other, like Thor fighting the Hulk. I never thought I'd see that ever, and that we got a little 5-minute scene like that was great for my childhood. I was like, yeah. But Dark Knight as a movie, as a crime drama, as one of the best Jokers, best Batmans ever on screen. To me, I love that movie, and I love Heath Ledger. I love Christian Bale's performances. So yeah, to me, I mean, as far as just a movie versus movie, I still liked Avengers better. It was a more enjoyable, fun film. But Dark Knight as being a real dark Batman film, yeah, I can see why, because I love that film. So.
Dennis?
I love the Avengers as well, but for me, The Dark Knight is like my top comic book movie, and so it just brings something else. Yeah, it is darker, it is a crime drama, but I guess maybe because I'm more into that. Avengers was a ton of fun, got to see a lot of cool things, but yeah, and I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, 2 great movies, 2 fantastic movies, and it's kind of neat that they are 2 such different films as well, coming down to being our final 2. And like for me, Avengers is the best one, but that should be. But you can't. I don't think anybody's going to argue about either of these 2 being, because they're both so good and so great. But yeah, I'm telling you, even though I picked Dark Knight, I really thought I saw the trend going Avengers, and it turns out Dark Knight by a mile. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to suggest maybe we do an AMC Razzies type thing where we do the worst superhero movies.
I don't know. I thought about that. I thought maybe we shouldn't trash movies too much. Yeah, like we never trash movies. Right. But I gotta say, guys, thank you so much for all your participation. We started with 32 movies, now down to The Dark Knight as our grand champion. Thank you so much for your participation. And you know, we'll probably have to do this whole tournament again in a couple years as these great new batch of comic book films comes out.
Yeah.
And we are going to do this movie tournament format. We're going to do 3 or 4 of these a year. And I think the next one we're going to do, not for a few months, but I think the next tournament we're going to do and have you guys voting on is Best Animated Film of All Time.
Ooh, awesome.
That should be a lot of fun. And I don't think we can so easily predict the 2 finalists for that one. So again, guys, thank you so much for your participation. We present your winner. All hail the Dark Knight, grand champion of AMC Movie Talk. Let's move on now. Guys, it is time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, every day we take a couple questions out of the mailbag, and we are going to leave a few minutes at the end of the show, by the way, guys. Listen, if you're watching us live, and we do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can jump on Twitter and tweet to us at AMC Movie News, and we'll save a few minutes at the end of the show, and Ashley will pick a couple of those out. But for now, it's time for Mailbag. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Michael Rich writes, "Hi, I was wondering if you could ever see a Vince McMahon biopic ever being made."
I'm actually a guy who I grew up watching wrestling. I really, I don't watch it. I haven't watched it regularly for years, but me and my buddies will still get together every year and watch WrestleMania, or we'll get together and watch maybe a SummerSlam or something like that. But I don't really follow it much anymore. But I'm going to tell you, the story of Vincent McMahon is, and for those of you who don't follow wrestling, it's insane where this guy came from. From his father running this business, transferring to him back when wrestling was some small regional thing, and then he took it, created WrestleMania, did all this kind of crazy stuff, to being one of the most dominant entertainment brands on the planet. It's an incredible story. I've seen some documentary stuff on his story before. This would be a fascinating, absolutely fascinating biography. Do I see it happening? Well, maybe. I mean, there certainly are enough of us who grew up as wrestling fans, or those of us who have family members who are wrestling fans, that there could absolutely be a market for it. I think the story would be really fun and interesting. There's a big thing going on right now, a lot of interest in behind-the-scenes kind of stories. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I think they will make one eventually, and I'd be interested in seeing it, Dennis.
Don't know if they're going to make one, but I'm interested in seeing one. He's also, like James Cameron, a very fascinating individual.
Yeah.
But what I don't want is the whole biopic approved by the family type of thing. Because then you get the, okay, this guy's such a great guy. Because we know Vince McMahon, you know, he is, you know, a very good entrepreneur, but we know that he has ruthlessness in him and a lot of other characteristics. And I want to see those stories. I'm sure he has tons of great stories that are funny, sad, crazy, you know, things that would make him look bad. And so I want to see the whole picture. And yeah, I think his childhood is very interesting because he didn't meet his father until he was 12 years old, and then found out his father was into wrestling promotion. And he took that and built it into what we see today.
Yeah. Schnapp?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I would like to see. An official version. That WrestleMania has had a lot of like behind the scenes stories about the family, and he's got his entire family in the ring. I mean, Vince McMahon fought for like several years as a wrestler. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty incredible. His story is quite an incredible journey. My sister actually worked for WrestleMania because it's all based in Hartford, Connecticut. That's where I grew up. I grew up in West Haven, Connecticut. What's up, West Haven? But yeah, WrestleMania, Vince McMahon, that's rife with ups and downs and battles, and almost broke to millions and back and forth. It would be a great biopic. It would be great I'd love to see like 2 different versions. The official version without all those, what you're talking about, the super dark stuff, and then maybe the ultra twist to it. Plus, maybe McMahon would just make the unofficial one too. Throw me in the fire, He's a showman.
But that's the interesting thing about McMahon. He don't care.
Yeah.
He don't care because, he believes he is the best in the world at what he does. And part about being that is being a hard ass and being ruthless and being whatever. I mean, there's a documentary, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a whole documentary film you can watch on Netflix just about what happened between him and Bret the Hitman Hart. And just that alone is fascinating. You could make an entire biography just on the relationship between Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan and all the drama that's gone on in their lives over the years, coming back to WWE, being kicked out, coming back, being kicked out, coming back. I mean, and this guy's got a million of those individual relationship stories as well. And I think he'd be totally fine with, just tell the story. Yeah. You know why? Because he thinks he's the man. And he doesn't care. He's like, I'm the man. I think they should do it. All right, what's next?
Jake Rogers writes, "Hey AMC crew, I love the show. My question is, do you think we will ever be getting a Red 3? I really liked the first film, and I had fun with the second one as well. To the best of my knowledge, they both made money at the box office, so could we see a Red 3? Thanks for the great show, guys, and bring on the filthy."
I'm one of these guys who I very pleasantly surprised loved the first Red. I thought it was charming and witty, especially the dynamic between Bruce Willis and the girl from Weeds. What's her name again? I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the dynamic between them, John Malkovich, I mean, the whole cast was just terrific. I really enjoyed that film and was so looking forward to the second one. And it's like analyze this, analyze that. The second one I thought was just awful. I thought it was terrible. Like, to me, it was just, I always say every studio tries to make the movie they're making as good as it can be. And I believe that. I believe the studio tried to make a good Red 2, but they failed because it didn't even feel like they tried. It was just awful in so many ways. Now, as far as the box office goes, I think Red 2, first of all, it cost $35 million more to make than the original Red. And it made a little over $50 million less at the box office than the original Red. I think it roughly broke even, but considering it was so bad, audience wasn't nearly as enamored with it as the first one. The critics didn't like it very much. It took a downward trajectory on its box office versus an upward trajectory on its expense. I don't think we're going to see another one. And quite honestly, I'm quite happy to forget about the second one and just treasure the first one and enjoy it. So anyway, Dennis?
I don't think we're going to see a third one as well for the reasons that you said. I liked the first one. I didn't see the second one, and I think it's because people like you and other people had said, oh, don't see it. It's not the same. Because the first one was enjoyable. It was fun. The chemistry between the cast was good, but I guess the second one seemed more like, I don't know, for a paycheck or something like that.
Yeah, the novelty was gone, too. Yeah, Schnepp?
Yeah, it's not in the red anymore, so to speak. I'm one of those people who saw the first Red film and didn't like it. So I just didn't see it. Also, then I heard Red 2 wasn't as good as the first one, and since I didn't like the first one, I was like, I'll eventually see it, on cable or whatever. And I saw a few clips of it, and I think Red 2 had the sequence with Helen Mirren with the machine gun from the car, and I love Helen Mirren. So that scene, I think I saw that moment and then turned it off. I was flipping channels or whatever. But is there going to be a Red 3? I would say yes.
Really?
For the simple reason that both movies did make enough money to make a trilogy, and then they could always package a trilogy a lot easier than they could sell 2 movies. So that's my guess, is that they're going to make a third film probably in 2 years.
Okay, well, a few things before we get to Twitter here. A few things here that people are mentioning. It's Mary Louise Parker, by the way, is the person whose name I was forgetting. And then also somebody in the chat board is mentioning, hey, I think it was Tony Dadiger writes in the chat board, Vincent McMahon as Galactus. I see it. I totally see it. All right, folks, we're going to go over the Twitter stream. We just got a couple minutes left. We're going to try to fire through a few of these really fast. Ashley, what's coming up in Twitter?
Raphael Hespanjo writes, do you guys think it would be possible to see Red Skull again as a villain in a Cat movie? Thanks and keep up the great work.
I do. I think there's a reason his ending in the first Captain America film was so vague. Because remember, really, he just got sucked off into a space that we saw Loki get sucked off into at the end of Thor. I believe he's coming back. Now, will we have the same actor? From stories that I hear, I doubt it, which is really too bad because he was fantastic as Red Skull. But I have a feeling that Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon are not done with their Red Skull plans yet. Do you guys see it any differently?
I think he's going to be back for the third one. I mean, everyone had speculated he was going to be back for the second one, and that you know, Robert Redford was going to pull off his. You know,
a lot of the stuff Redford was going to pull off. Oh, spoilers!
So Mission Impossible thing, right? Yeah, I think he'll be back either for Avengers 3 with the Cosmic Cube, some kind of Infinity Gauntlet, Cosmic Cube face-off with Thanos. That would be what I'd want, or Captain America 3. But they already made him almost too powerful by like having him go into the cosmos with the cube. He's already, so it's become galactic, so to speak. And hey, if you're watching this, Galactus has 5 heralds. If Vince McMahon is Galactus, name the 5 heralds from the WWE. Who's Silver Surfer, who's Terex, who's Nova? Go. Let's see what happens.
All right, let's get through a couple more of these really quick.
Okay, Tim Jones writes, do you think that Andrew Garfield will ever win an Oscar?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I thought he was robbed, flat out robbed of an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Social Network. I thought he was the best part of that movie. He was the heart and soul and the humanity of that movie. And instead, they gave it to Christian Bale, which was a big BS move. Not because Christian Bale wasn't brilliant in that movie, but because by no human understanding, common sense definition was Christian Bale a supporting actor in The Fighter. He was every bit a lead, as was Mark Wahlberg. He shouldn't have been in that category at all. No problems with him having that Oscar. He was brilliant in that movie, but he shouldn't have even been in the category. That should have been Andrew Garfield's. They didn't even nominate Andrew Garfield. So yes, I do believe it, because not just Spider-Man. So you watch some of his smaller films too. This is a gifted young man.
What's that futuristic one that's
the one I'm trying to remember.
What's that one called?
Something
like,
of something.
Let Me Go, or it was like.
Isn't it like Keira Knightley in it or something?
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was
He was so good.
But anyway, I believe absolutely yes. It may take 5 years, may take 10 years. At some point, I believe you're going to see an Oscar on his mantle. What do you guys think?
I think for sure a nomination. I'm not sure if he's going to get the.
It is a roll of the dice, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, you have someone like Leonardo DiCaprio, who I think in the future will get an Oscar, but still hasn't got one.
Know.
He's got a few nominations. So I think Andrew Garfield for sure nominations. Oscar itself, I don't know.
I think he gets the Oscar for Spider-Man 4. You got to do the 4th one. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I think he's an incredibly talented actor. He'll get an Oscar eventually, for sure.
Okay, last one real quick.
The Doctor writes, do you think a Game of Thrones movie would be more successful as a separate story from the show or a continuation?
Okay, before we answer that question, Ashley, can we have you say The Doctor again?
The Doctor.
Okay, there we go. There are going to be people who turn that into their ringtones. All right. Yeah, I've said this once before. I always thought that a Game of Thrones movie in the Game of Thrones universe could work, but I would think you'd want to do it as an extreme prequel, even though I'm not into prequels that much. But you've got the TV series that is still moving forward. So tell the story about what happens there like 200 years ago, make it into a feature film. I think there'd be enough interest in it. The budget wouldn't have to be all that big. I think it'd be really successful. So yeah, I'd be down for it.
I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so I want to see a movie, but I agree with you. It should be separate from whatever storyline they're doing now. But I don't want 200 years. I just want, like, I think, what, 20 or 30 years in the past, because they talk about the rebellion.
Yeah.
They talk about the rebellion with the Baratheons and the Starks. That's the story I want to see.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. If it was like 20 years before, we get a younger Ned Stark. We get some all the flavor of the people that we've learned to appreciate from the series. And I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I think it's one of the best television series on right now. It's like, so if you're not watching it, check it out. But as a movie version, yeah, a 20-year early storyline, that would be great. A trilogy of those.
All right, folks, that'll do it for us. We're all out of time. I'm going to let you guys know, too, because it is Monday, and some of you might be looking for verses later today. We have moved verses from Mondays, because we have other stuff going on Mondays. We've moved AMC verses to Tuesdays. So you will see the next installment from now on, moving forward, of AMC verses on Tuesdays. So watch for that for tomorrow. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Don't forget to click the thumbs up and the subscribe button. If you want an audio-only podcast of the show, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our Stitcher and our iTunes. I want to thank, first of all, those guys sitting at the desk with me, starting to my immediate right, the production manager of AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero or on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro.
And beside him, the one and the only writer-director, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Twitter and I'm sorry, I can't even speak. Twitter and Instagram at John Schnepp. And I'll be at WonderCon this Saturday from 2 to 5 at booth 208, Geekscape. I'm selling some advanced copies of posters of The Death of Superman Lives. So come on by and say hey.
And, of course, our lovely host today, the Doctor, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at The Doctor. No, just at Ashley Mova. Have a good one, guys.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just at John Campea. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campea for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.